I went to my local grocery store, picked up 5 ingredients for today's video. Check out what I'm making today. And hopefully, store-bought 5 ingredients are good enough to make us want to have this again and again. I mean, 5 ingredient deep dish pizza. This looks phenomenal. Nice, crispy, crunchy crust. This looks absolutely phenomenal. Nice, crispy, crunchy edge. Looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to take those 5 ingredients and I'm going to turn it into a deep dish pizza. So years ago, I went to Chicago and I tried Chicago deep dish pizza. I feel like I've mastered how to make the best dough, some great sauce, and how to bring that together to make a deep dish pizza. But today I'm making a super simple video that you can just run to the store and get 5 ingredients yourself and turn it into a delicious deep dish pizza. So let's take a look at the ingredients today. I have some pizza sauce, right? So pretty simple, basic pizza sauce. I have some ready to bake pizza dough. Now, I know that this is gonna make a pizza. It's gonna work out. Is it gonna be, the best dough? Maybe not, but that's what I'm using today. I have some vegan mozzarella shredded cheese that I'm gonna be using as the dairy alternative. And then we have our toppings, so some vegan sausage and an onion. So, generally pizza is pretty easy to make in the sense that you take your dough, you stretch it out, you put all your, your sauce and your cheese on, your toppings. Deep dish pizza I found is a little bit different. Deep dish pizza, in order for it to be good and work properly, there's a couple things that you have to do through the process. Before we get there though, let's take a look at the onion prep that I'm doing today. So I'm just doing a real quick, simple cut on these onions, not messing around, just cutting off and taking off the outer layer and the skin. And then I'm gonna cut the onion in slices. Now, the only real thing I'm looking for is making sure that they're not too thick, because I wanna make sure that they cook properly as the pizza topping. So this is about what I'm looking for onions. I'm gonna cut up the other half of the onion, but I may not end up using it for the pizza. So the onions are cut up. Now I'm just going to cut up the sausage into some smaller slices. And then that prep is done. Low maintenance pizza today. So you can cut the sausage in any shape you want. I'm just gonna go with some slices like this. You could cut it down, the long way if you wanted, and make it smaller pieces. But I want it to be obvious that we're having sausage. So obviously, when it comes to making any pizza, let alone the deep dish pizza, you get whatever toppings you want to have. If you want to just have cheese, then you can make this in 3 ingredients. Or if you wanted to do garlic pizza, you could do garlic, you could do tomato. I like the sausage and onion combination. Sometimes I like throwing in some peppers to add some color and some more texture and flavor in there. But like I said, just use whatever you want. Pepperoni might be your choice, and then in which case you might be able to make this in four ingredients. It's just, the sky's the limit, and that's the great thing about pizza, is that it tastes so good, and like it's hard to make pizza wrong. I mean, I've had some pizzas that aren't that great, but even then, it tasted like a pizza, and I still ate it, so that counts for something. But it's hard to have a bad pizza and make pizza wrong, but it's also easy to make a phenomenal pizza and make something that you want to keep having over and over and over again. And hopefully these 5 ingredients, store-bought 5 ingredients, are good enough to make us want to have this again and again. Prep work is done. I have the onion and I have the sausage together. Now it's literally going to be stretching out this dough and bringing everything together and cooking it. Pan choice, I'm going to be using my cast iron skillet. And so the key with that is that I need to make sure that the cast iron is hot to work effectively. So I'm just going to add some oil to the skillet, and I'm going to get it in the oven and let the oil get nice and hot before I add the dough to the skillet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work the dough and stretch it out to the size that I want it to be. And now I can already feel that this isn't, you know, fresh dough. So I'm gonna have to work this dough a bit. Really don't want to use any flour, because the flour is going to smoke up a lot through this cooking process, and I'm not looking for that. So like I said, it's just working this dough. The longest part of this is really going to be working this dough, because it was in a ball and it was of course in the cooler section. So you really have to kind of wake this dough back up and stretch it out. You want it to warm up a little bit so it's easier to stretch. So it's really a lot of back and forth between kind of working it flat, stretching it, flipping it over, do some more. Something else I do when doughs are harder to work with is I just kind of take my fingers and just work my way around the dough, like so. This allows you to get in there and make the dough a little bit easier to stretch. Obviously, if you got fingernails, it's gonna be a little bit more challenging. So just use the ball of your tips of your fingers. But then just go back through and just, again, work the dough, trying to keep it in as much of a circle as possible, because I'm using a circle skillet. Trying to keep the same thickness of the dough all the way around. And again, you can see that I'm just working the dough over and over again, both sides. Work the dough, flip it over. Work the dough, flip it over. Add a little bit of oil so that way your dough doesn't stick to your cutting board. And about so. Now I'm going to take a look and see how it fits to the cast iron. Okay, pretty good. So this is where I can play around with the dough a little bit. I got to be careful because obviously the cast iron is very hot because that cooked off in the oven. Now the cast iron itself is going to help the crust stay nice and crunchy, which you want to have this crunchy layer to the dough rather than it just being that regular pizza crust kind of texture that you get when you have a slice of non-deep dish. So you can see that I'm working the dough through the bottom and making sure that all of the dough is closed off. It's easy to get little punctures. And then making sure that I have this kind of wall of dough going around the side. Keeping it as even as possible, like so. Now what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to add my cheese, and I'm going to add this back to the oven, and I'm going to let it cook for about 10 minutes. The reason I'm doing that is that the crust and the cheese is going to cook. It's going to create a little bit of a barrier for the sauce. And I'm just going to spread the cheese out. Alright, like so. So you can basically see that we have our dough and a layer of cheese. And in the oven this is going to go. Alright, and so here's what we're looking at so far. So you can see that, you know, vegan cheese doesn't melt, clearly is, and you can see that the crust is starting to golden a little bit, and we're really kind of coming into shape here, and it smells absolutely fantastic. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add some sauce on top of the cheese. The reason why I put the cheese down first and not the sauce is the cheese keeps a layer over the dough, so that when you add the sauce, it doesn't go into the dough and make the dough soggy. Just gonna go ahead and spread the sauce. I'm gonna add some onions. Some sausage. Add a little bit more onion. Can never have enough layers of flavor. And the last little bit of sausage. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put some more sauce over the top. And now that's going to go back in the oven, and this time it's going to cook for probably about 20 minutes, right there at about 450 degrees. But I'm feeling pretty great about this. It smells fantastic, and again, the crust is already, you know, cooking up really nicely. That cast iron is super hot, so it's going to make the underside of that dough nice and crunchy. It's going to be fantastic. All right, and here we go. Here is our pizza. Looks fantastic. Looks like our dough is golden all around. And you saw how easy that was to slide right out of that cast iron. So it looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, 5-ingredient deep dish pizza. This looks phenomenal. When I think of a deep dish pizza, the thing I think of is the crust, right? And listen to this. Nice, crispy, crunchy crust. This looks absolutely phenomenal. And that just goes to show what happens when you cook off this deep dish pizza and you don't have the sauce going into the crust. You have that layer of cheese first. And again, this was only 5 ingredients right from my local grocery store. Like, this is awesome. I'm thinking that it's time that we cut into this pizza. Look at that crust, cooked all the way through. A nice crispy, crunchy edge. The cheese layers looks absolutely fantastic. So I made the deep dish pizza, right? So the dough, 5 ingredients, absolutely fantastic. It came out looking phenomenal. What else is left? Oh right, I need to eat it. See, look at that. Look at that hold together. It's good. That's a good slice of deep dish pizza. You know, 5 ingredients. I didn't modify anything, and it's good. So you can see that you can go to your local store, you can buy 5 ingredients, and you can enjoy yourself a deep dish pizza for so much less. in the comfort of your own home. And you know what? If you're feeling a little crazy, then you can add some other ingredients. You can make it pepperoni and you can add something else and still have those 5 ingredients rather than having onion and sausage. Your options are endless. But this is good. 5 ingredients, and I made deep dish pizza in my own home because I'm your friend with food benefits, and I'm gonna see you again real soon.